I was wrong.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. And thank you again for joining us on the Senate, where I am your host, Neil Hoyt, along with my other host, Derek Marshall, my brother. And we back at it again. As always, as always, what we do is we start by Derek plugging his music. No, there's a little different in the playlist. I don't know if you all would have been listening, but we have a new track. They released, G Syndicate released Woman on Monday for International Women's Day. And, I heard that track last year. It was pretty good. But they made the official release. That's a little humble brag, I got to connect, right? So, but yeah, Derek plug your stuff, man. You know how we do it.
Yeah, man, that was Woman. We released it yesterday for International Women's Day for 2021. It was a project long in the making, since last year. But we managed to finally get it recorded and released. We got it out yesterday. So salute to all the ladies out there. Especially since you all some of them think that like women. That's our tribute from G Syndicate. Salute to all the ladies out there holding it down and doing their thing, But you can check out that music, gsyndicate6.com, YouTube, gsyndicate6, SoundCloud as well. Even on our Instagram, you can check it out over there for the lyric video. Shout out our partner, my Teague, on the lyric video as well. So yeah, man. Big up Teague. So new music in the house, in the crank. We got something else coming too in a couple of weeks. A nice remix, a little collaboration, but we'll talk about that down the road. How are you doing, my brother?
Yeah. I am well. I can't complain. You know how it is. It is a rough time. People don't know. I got certain issues that I don't. I don't. I don't feel comfortable talking about it yet. Right now is a rough time. Right now is a rough time for me. I do feel the love and support from my friends, both male and female. My mother. I kind of understand where I've gone wrong. And best thing you could do is work on me, as you keep saying every week, be the best version of you.
That's right.
So literally working on myself, trying to right my wrongs. Chips falling in. What about you? How you doing, man?
I am as good as I suppose I can be. Abiding, as the old people say, as I like to say. I can't complain too much, so I shan't complain, You got life, so there's always another opportunity every day above ground, So I just keep heading forward. That's the direction to go. Never backward, never. So that's the way I look at it these days.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, again, thank you for joining. You know how Derek does it. Every Monday, Derek posts a comment or a question, and he tries to get some responses. No, I find this week was not as inflammatory. We have some stuff that come in that can be inflammatory, but I think right now this one is pretty mild in the man woman dynamic. So Derek, as usual, just you can read the question you posed this week and let's get right into it.
Right. So as always, I give you the preamble. I was having a conversation on Sunday, and a friend of mine, she asked me, why is it that certain women seem to get married and others don't? Before I actually get to the question, somebody saw that on my Facebook page and flew at me this morning. They didn't get past that part. They didn't deal with the question I had at all. They saw that and they came guns blazing in my DM this morning. And I was amused. It was called sexist and all kind of thing.
Wow, that's fine. You were called sexist.
Yeah, it was called sexist this morning, and I found it amusing, especially when I said to the person that you see, it seems as if you only got half of the information. Mm-hmm. So I guess she saw that, she got triggered and flew in my DM this morning, right? But aside from that, let me give you a question first and then say what I gotta say. The question was, have traditional marriages become obsolete and have open marriages or entanglements become more practical in 2021. Also, when we get to divorce, should your partner be entitled to half in a divorce, right? So let me stick a pin right there.
Right.
We hear the Senate, right? We hear the Senate. We come every week, and the purpose of the Senate is to have open discussion about these kinds of topics, right? And trust me, we start to really dig down and get divisive and a little bit inflammatory, as Neil would say, yet, right? But the purpose of this is so we can have this space where we can hear both sides. We get to hear the women on the one hand, and we get to hear the men on the other hand. We've had these spaces where women have had their say, right? Women have had their say. We've heard women, but people always say men don't talk. We never get to hear the men, and that's not because men don't have anything to say. The men are just afraid of what's being coined now, the sign language, the shaming, the insults, the guilt trips, and that need to be right. The men, so men kind of reserve their comments on these kinds of things, right? They will talk in their little cliques, they will talk with their friends one-on-one, really small groups. But we're trying here within the Senate to initiate and get the discussion going. Because the discussion, having that open, honest discussion is what's going to bring the genders a little closer together, and more to a mutual understanding. And that is the purpose of this, right? So, let me just put it out there.
Well, not to cross you, but I also forgot to mention to our people here that we have a new facility for engagement. Basically, if you have something that you want to say, good night, Natalia, how you doing? If you have something that you want to say and you don't mind having your voice on the podcast, you can send us a message via the Facebook Messenger or the Senate Facebook page. You can send us a message, do a voice note. I will obviously peruse sure that y'all ain't cussing me because we got sense of these things. But yeah, if you want your voice note, if you want that level of engagement where you think that, typing is not enough, you have something that you want to say, you want your voice to be heard, you can message us on the Facebook page for the Senate podcast. Go there, record your voice note. I will look at it periodically. Sorry about that, Derek. Go ahead.
Yes. Right. So let me get back to my point. This forum is for open discussion, for objective discussion, for us to hear both sides, right? If you don't want to do that, this isn't the space for you, right? If you want to come in and troll, and you want to get in the comment section, and you want to insult people and stuff like that, this isn't the space. Because let me shout out the ladies I've seen in here in the past couple of weeks. Dion, Natalia, I saw Tanya a couple of weeks earlier. Big up Cyber Boy tuning in. I see Carrie Ann tuning in again. The ladies that have been in here before in the week's prayer have been awesome. Big respect. They come in, they share their opinion, and they take opinions as well. And that is what we're trying to initiate and trying to get moving, as opposed to a case where somebody shares an opinion, somebody retorts with some kind of insult or some kind of shaming tactic, and then the discussions aren't heard, and nothing goes anywhere. So keep your comments respectful in the comment section. We want the comments, but keep it respectful, right, guys? If you don't want to have a conversation, if you just want to, send insults back and forth, this probably isn't the place for you, right? Because trust me, going forward, we're gonna really start to hit home, right? So let me give you the question again: have traditional marriages become obsolete, and have open marriages and entanglements become more practical in 2021? Also, should your partner be entitled to half in a divorce? Launching off from today, tonight.
All right. So, where do we start with this? The first part of your question is about entanglements, and I feel it very important for me to say this, right? Because I think a lot of us think that we can compartmentalize and handle these casual relationships, these entanglements, or whatever have you. But from a personal standpoint, I have realized, I have not been honest with myself before in terms of those types of relationships. I am very monogamous. I am a person I'm very committed, and there are times where before I would have said I am in a casual relationship, and it's not going any further. But in my head, I kind of was not honest with myself, and then other people also as I say, catch feelings as well. But I think we create these entanglements, these situationships, these companions or whatever. We create these because of a fear of. I think that if we look within ourselves and we look at a partner and say, "Yo, this person here, this person is nobody that I would ever consider dating." If you would never ever consider dating the person, then get in a situationship with the person. Do not get into an entanglement with the person, because when you start to catch feelings, when the person starts to catch feelings, and you're at odds with yourself, or she's or he is at odds with themselves in terms of trying to figure out where they are and how they stand, there will always be a problem. So my advice, especially in 2021, is if you have reservations about a relationship, full stop, then that is fine. But be careful how you engage people, because I have found that sex is a very, very, very powerful thing. Huh? Is a very, very powerful thing in terms of tying certain entities, certain parts of yourself into relationship, into being with another person. So I just want to add my 2 cents on that. I know people all of us have been hurt. I mean, I know the average age of our listenership is almost 40. And the truth of the matter is everybody has had failed relationships. Everybody has been hurt. And me personally, I have let my fears and my doubts rule me and kind of push away people that I really care about. And that's on me and working to fix that. And it is important for us to realize that we can't hold on to the past hurt. And if we stepping into any sort of relationship, we gotta step in 2 feet first. You know, so I give it a fair shot. So yeah, so you can continue it. Nicole Norville is here. Hello, good night. How you doing? Ramel Hale, what's going on? Carrie Ann, Natalia, what is traditional marriage really though? Looking at people, I think that's a good place to start. But let me read Carrie Ann's comment. Looking at people who class or categorize their situation as entanglements are often out of some denial of being totally accountable for themselves. Now, I can agree with that. Um, my man, Jamal, my tricks. I could call you tricks. Good night. What's going on? But yeah, Derek, let's start. First, since it's your question, I can let you label it. What is a traditional marriage, though?
All right. Well, for me, the way I see it, traditional marriage, man, woman, building family, etc., committed to each other, right? I think that that's like as basic as you could get it, launching going forward.
Right.
So starting there, and you said earlier, you see entanglement as kind of like trying to not commit. I
Yes.
look at it
But that's a
as, hmm?
but that's still a
Say,
commitment in itself, and that's still a commitment within itself.
um, for me, I kind of looking at it as trying to be hypergamous within the relationship. So you have your relationship home that you don't want to leave for whatever purpose, for whatever reason. You got it there, you don't want to leave, or you can't leave, or figure you can't leave. So you're there. But on the other hand, you see this other potential relationship on the outside, right? So now it's a case of, can I have my cake and eat it too? So you try to enter
Mm.
into what we call an entanglement, a term coined by Jada Pinkett, right? And if we look at her particular situation, she is in a relationship married to, so well, they don't say married anymore, they say life partner. So her life partner is a very, very prominent man, high profile man in Will
Right.
Smith, right? And his net worth when they saw it was like 250 million, right?
Sounds
Yeah,
about
and
right.
still, yeah, yeah, and still, she went and she got into, as she would put it, an entanglement with a dude
Mm-hmm.
that nobody knew. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have a friend who would say it's a case of trying to fill some kind of a void, right? Whether that void was companionship, sex, it certainly wasn't money in this case.
No,
But
not in that case.
not in that case. But whether it was companionship, money, attention, it could be anything. And that is what she was trying to fulfill. So her thing was to, hey, let me dip out, get somebody side, and talk back. Unfortunately for her, dude went and talk because he had whatever agenda he was trying to push. Get to see how the album to sell or a single or something to push. So he decided, shoot, let me get some clout off of Jada. And he put all the business in the street, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. But in this fast paced era that we live in, is the traditional monogamous relationship really practical in 2021? That's why I want people to really kind of dig down and drill down and ask, because we can talk the things tonight, right? So I saw something else, I tell you, I prepared for the show, and there was this couple on TV, and they were doing their own version of a podcast, and the issue was women push for monogamy.
It looks like we have okay, I think we are back now. We had a little drop.
Yeah.
Sorry about connection tonight. Night, Ayana, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Big hail to Dwayne, Ricardo Atkins. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So we're wondering, is the traditional man woman committed to each other going forward as a unit, is that practical, or is it more practical because can you get everything from one partner? And I am putting it to the panel and to everybody else listening and watching that is highly unlikely that you're going to get everything you want in one partner. So here it is. Now you got to make some concessions. You got to make some concessions.
Go ahead.
You're chomping at the bit. You're chomping at the bit.
I actually want to jump in there, but
go ahead, buddy. I see you chomping at the bit.
In terms of right, I see Tara. Thank you for joining. Good night. So this is my stance, right? There was a point in time, actually fairly recently, I was wondering that very same thing. Can one person fulfill every need and desire that you want, right? We talked about requirements about 2 weeks ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, we talked about requirements, and we talked about the things you need in a relationship, right? Certain things that you definitely need for the relationship to go forward, and then certain things that you can live with. I do think that one can be no one person can be everything for you, but I think that someone can be the fundamental things for you. Yeah. So like me personally, what do I need? I need somebody that has a high sex drive like me. I need someone that is willing to be silly, be goofy, and not take themselves seriously. I need someone that is willing to talk about current events. I need someone as well spoken. There are certain things I need, and there are people that I have encountered before that fulfill all of those needs. And those are the needs for me. Now, obviously, in those needs, you wanted other things. You may have wanted the person to have a certain sense of fashion. You may have wanted the person to like certain types of movies or certain type of music, or you might have liked the person not to be as prudish or as outgoing. You know what I mean? It all depends on the individual, right? I think that you can have a person that can be everything for what you need, but not necessarily for everything you want and need. You got to keep reading chat, boy, because it's starting to go already. But yeah, yeah. I completely feel that, because I have literally had someone be my everything for what I need. You know what I mean? The things that were important for me, right? Well, over the years, I've had more than one. One at the time when I was younger, that person was everything I needed at the time. Mm-hmm. That person fulfilled. After that, there was another person that fulfilled everything that I needed, right? and I bonded with that person. Was that person everything that I wanted? No one can be everything that you want. I mean, like, let's be honest. I'm a tall man. I may like tall women, but if a short woman come along and she fulfills all the other needs, I can't very well turn on my nose and say the woman ain't tall. So I'm bad. Again, I'm finally again I have this woman as my main. Again, I get a tall woman as my side chick. Like it, I think it comes down to you as an individual, and I think that we could get into a lot of talk about what society deems as monogamy, how we have as animals are not really monogamous, but society has forced us into monogamy versus going on that road. But I personally think that it is it, I, soul ties, right? Like in the last few months, I've been kind of understanding a bit more of soul ties and understanding that it is very important. Like you can't go out there having sex with any and everybody because, in my opinion, and I know people may differ, but when you have sex, intimate, passionate sex with someone on a consistent basis, you give a piece of yourself to that person, right? And you have to be very careful that, if you got a male woman, a wife, children, you got a side woman, and you giving that, well, obviously over time, the side woman may give a better sexual experience than your wife, but your wife is giving you the stability, the emotional wherewithal to share the stability of home and taking care and securing your home. So I would say that as much as it's easy to say, I can see situations where people can say, okay, I am not getting everything from my partner. I am going to seek external sources for what is missing. But I feel like you kind of end up doing yourself more issues for doing that, right? I don't know what everybody feel. The
All
chat
right.
going crazy. I
Yeah,
don't know if
chat
you're paying
going
attention.
crazy. So let me just check. We got Ricardo Atkins. Guys, my firm belief is that a relationship takes two to work. Secondly, we only
Amen.
get what we put in. Carry on is saying seeking everything from one partner is dangerous, but does not warrant entanglements or cheating. We have to seek some things from ourselves too.
Yes.
Dion, I
Yes.
wonder if it's not so much a fast paced society or a selfish society, meaning we all want what we want when we want as opposed to what we need. That's critical. We can come back to that. No one person will fulfill your every need. This is Ricardo again, but I've heard the story of women shopping for men in the department store. Every level she went up, the man got better, but she wanted more. But then she got to the top floor with a message: there's no such thing as a perfect man. We won't satisfy our partner's every need either, but both of us need to be in it to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Jamie, re-divorce. If the person was contributing to build the assets of the family, they should be compensated. All right. So,
Okay. Yeah, Jamie down the road, but we can
yeah,
get there,
Jamie
Jamie.
ahead of
Just
us.
hold tight. Yeah, hold
Yeah.
tight.
So, what I'm hearing, let's see. Oh boy, we're going crazy again. Let me before I push off again. Natalia is saying that is absolutely correct. A soul tie is a serious thing. That exchange of energies is quite dangerous when you pour part of yourself into someone else just like that. And
Uh,
Tricks is saying, I think you can get everything you need from one person as opposed to everything we want. I think we need to understand the difference. Wow, that is
right.
profound, my young friend.
And not only that, but I want to point out that young Jamal Grant, we call him Baby Trick, Young Tricks. He is a young man, and that's very profound from a man his age. Before you continue there, I want to talk about what Carrie Ann said about seeking stuff from self. I think me personally, one thing that I do that's a mistake is that I seek someone to be my everything, but it is clear that not everybody, people cannot be. When I say everything, and we gotta make this distinction because within self, you obviously have to provide yourself with certain things, certain needs, certain self validation. You know what I'm saying? You have to fulfill basic requirements, confidence, improvement. You have to deal with yourself. I'm not talking about the things within self that you find. I'm thinking about and talking about things you seek in other people, right? For example, there are certain things, certain energies you give to a woman that you can't give to your male friend. I mean, your male friends. There are certain energies you want to be able to build and foster with your partner that you can't do it with your same sex friends or even opposite sex friends. So you got to be very careful in provide. You first have to feel sustained within yourself, right? You have to feel that you provide what you need as an individual, because this is not, when we talk about needs within a partner, we're not talking about personally or on a base level. You go Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We talked about that in a previous episode, where there's certain basic things you have to provide for yourself. And if you find a partner that can provide those things that you seek out in the opposite sex or whomever you desire, then you kind of is icing on the cake. So I'm glad for that comment, Carrie Ann, and just wanted to make that distinction.
Yeah, every week I say here, you got to be the best version of you. You got to essentially raise your own stock. And that's
Yes.
essentially what you're saying here.
Yes.
Start where you are, make your own improvements on yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? So you got to raise your own stock, raise your own value. You got to improve yourself. That way, you know where you stand, you know who you are, you know what you have to offer. A person's coming to you. You talk about energies. You're gonna attract that energy. That person's gonna come to you, and they're gonna meet you with what you are giving off. They're gonna be able to come and contribute. They're gonna see where you're at and appreciate that, and be able to go forward with you and provide the things you need because you recognize, shoot, I am providing certain things to myself. I need less. You know what I mean? So now, not saying that what you need is less important, but that person isn't coming to you to fill voids. And Young Tricks is saying you can get everything you need from one person. I find this so profound, as opposed to everything you want. When you go into that monogamous relationship, and let's use marriage, maybe say traditional marriage, but even if you say the traditional common law marriage, where there's no legality to it, but it's just you and somebody living together, you've got the same mailing address or whatever, and you going forward, you together 5 years, whatever, that's a legal term. Common
Right.
law marriage, one to one, as opposed to one to two or three on the or one to one and then two others. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think the whole thing we need to talk about is discipline. And yeah, Dion mentioned it earlier about being a little bit selfish. If
Yes.
you and your partner have that discussion and decide, you know what, I ain't really content here. I need other stuff. You can just say, you know what, thanks, call it quits. But I guess what has happened, particularly with the situation, the Jada and Will situation,
Mm.
there's so much money involved in a situation like that, and people start to look at the investment. Now everybody ain't got Will and Jada money, right? But you start to look at the investments that you've made,
Yep.
right?
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to walk away. They don't want to leave the investment, but it's an investment. Sometimes you gotta look at it and say, you know what, you don't get return on every investment,
True.
right?
True.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and you gotta, as Kenny Rogers would say, you gotta know when to hold them, when to
Well,
fold them, when to walk away, and when to run. You know what I mean? And as opposed, because the whole entanglement situation gets so messy, because as you said at the beginning, when the feelings start to come and get involved, you know, it it's just messy. You
mm-hmm.
know, because invariably somebody gets attached.
Yep.
Because as you said again earlier, it is almost impossible to be like engaged with somebody physically and sexually, and then there be absolutely no feelings at all.
Yeah.
Men do it, but I think you said it on a previous episode. Well, over that period of time, and you just engaging with somebody all the time, it becomes impossible for you to look at that person and think, yeah, there are the feelings here. I don't
Yep.
really care. I hear any port for a storm. You happen to be here, so I hear. You
And
know?
that's lying to yourself, man. That's not being honest with yourself. That's the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case where you gotta kind of reconcile. All right, you know, I got this. The whole 80-20 rule that came up a couple of years ago. I think it was why did they get married?
Yeah.
Steve Harvey. It was a Tyler Perry movie, right? Tyler Perry
Yeah.
movie. Why did they get married? And the guy left the Jill Scott character for a younger, hotter girl, and then he had to come back because the 20% he was getting just could
Ain't
not
worth it.
compare. It wasn't worth
Yeah.
it. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So I think when relationships are concerned, you got kind of weigh really hard the pros and cons. And if you feel that you need to get something else on the side, sure, just save everybody the heartache and
But Derek, I think that let me read some comments here quick before we come back. Sex, Jamie Eastman. Sex is not just sex. Jamie again. Narcissistic people tend to be infamous for entanglement. She puts in the quotes. Blair Chandler, and I agree with this. It starts with you. Amen and amen. Carrie Ann, amen. Derek, on the discipline, there is an order to things, balance, and reciprocity. I agree. But I would say this. I would say that. You know, there's something you made mention of, and I think is very important, right? Like if you're committed to a partner, and even if it is, it starts off as casual, but it turns into something more. I think that you, all right, okay. Let me switch gears. Sorry. Let me go from a committed relationship. Let me go from the standpoint of you are with this person, two of y'all are committed, and because there are marriages that go on for hella long, and all of a sudden they've fallen off to love. They don't do things as they used to do before, and the man more than likely would be looking to get something else. Not saying women don't do it too, but we go somewhere else, right? I think it is very important that when you reach that point of realizing, okay, I am with my partner. I love my partner. My partner and I have built this life together, or we are looking to build this life together. You have to kind of ask yourself, okay, she is not fulfilling a need or a want for me that she used to previously fulfill, right? I ain't talking about one day you wake up and you tell yourself, child, boy, I wish what threesome would look like. Or as a young man, I never really sold my oats. I want to have sex with somebody else. No, I'm talking about if you are with a partner and you realize that something is off and the person is not fulfilling certain things that they used to before, I think you have to be open and honest and have that dialogue of saying, you know what, babe, before you know, we used to do X, I used to be able to share my problems with you, or you used to um, emotionally support me, but things have gotten a little challenging now, right? And yes, there may be external factors like having children or the pressures of a job, mortgage. We know the pressures of life, the triggers. But I think it is important to have that space for discourse where you can talk to your partner about, okay, babe, we ain't clicking, something ain't gelling, right? Um, how do we get back to a space where we can gel again, right? You're not fulfilling certain wants and needs. Your partner might say very well in that space, well, I'm glad you brought it up because you're not doing certain things and it kind of made me do whatever. You kind of have to have that space of open and honesty where it's no judgment, is no argument, is no pelting dishes or anything like that. You have that space where you can share and talk about things.
open, honest
And
communication,
right. And
yeah,
if you
and
get to a
sexy
point, yeah,
conversations.
the unsexy conversations. Oh my goodness! And when you get to a point, like if you've had this conversation, you've had this conversation over time, years, you keep having these conversations, and like I was talking to a friend of mine today, a female friend of mine today. Her husband, she told me something, where her husband, she had a situation where she talked to her husband like that, and he said certain things would change and certain things didn't change, right? No, in that regard, if over time nothing changes, you keep butting heads on this thing, and nothing really changes in terms of the person may be making efforts, they may be making better efforts to show love, they may be making better efforts to be more communicative or whatever, but it is always, let's say the person just ain't changing, the person ain't doing nothing different, the person just, okay, babe, I can communicate, but they ain't communicate. Okay, babe, I can show more love, but they don't show more love. I think that you gotta kind of be aware and say, all right, yeah, time to call it what it is. Especially if you are getting to a point where you are saying, yeah, I'm gonna check Tinder and see what's going on though. Like again, I check the dating market and see what really
What's over
popping.
there?
What? Yeah, well, my
Christian
wife
mingle.
home. Yeah. while my wife over there, I can just see what's over here. Like, you gotta keep your eyes on the prize, and I've been guilty of this too. You have to keep your eyes on the prize. I have taken my eyes off of the prize so many different times and lose focus a lot in certain situations. And I think it is important that once you and this person have a general consensus, you keep your eyes on the prize and try to balance everything. It's hard as a juggling act, but
Yeah, it is. Blair is in the chat, and Blair is saying, agreed, Derek, discipline is key. A man that can have his pick of religion needs to learn discipline and strength of character. Young Tricks, agreed, Neil, communication is key. And then this comment from Natalia really tickled me just now. Discipline is necessary on both sides because you said men, but a lot of women have their side pieces. I remember a few years back, I heard an older woman say, as far as she's concerned, every woman got to have a friend. Nothing wrong with that, according to her. Let me stop right there because I know those of you who watched the show before know that I quote Chris Rock a lot. And he say, Chris Rock will tell you that a woman does not have a platonic friend. Any platonic friend that a woman has is essentially a schlong in a glass case. And in case of emergency, break open glass, right?
Listen, I would carry that a step further. I think platonic relationships between men and women is a slippery slope. We can talk about that another week. We can talk about that. But I have female friends, but I will say every female friend that I have that is close to me, I've either dated or considered dating. So,
you see, the thing with with that is that for the platonic relationship to work, male, there needs to be zero sexual attraction. If one person has some kind of sexual attraction going on, nah.
Okay.
As you said, slippery slope, especially if it is woman, right?
Hold on, Dion, hold on. We're not. Yes, you are our friends. We are not talking about you. We are friends, but I am talking about. We, you see, the friends we talking about are friends where you call up and you share your intimate stories with you. I don't know. Like when you lean on for emotional support. I never lean on you for emotional support, Dion, and I don't know. I know I don't think that. I think that there are certain boundaries within the realm of a friendship, or platonic friendship. That, like, Derek and I are platonic friends, right? Derek and I are boys. I went by my best friend Mark today. We literally sat down and watched some YouTube, cracked up and laughed and stuff like that. And there's no attraction to Mark, obviously. There's no attraction to Mark to me, obviously. But if I get up on the phone and talking with a friend of mine late at night, and we sharing intimate stories, and we talking and crying to one another and things like that, and I don't talk to none of my male friends late at night. There ain't no male friends that I bottle into with many nights. Nope. So that's what I mean. I talking about, it is good to have friends that you can hang out with and you can go online with and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but there's a level of friendship, because we get confused with men and women, where men or women would have the opposite sex as a friend, but they're sharing very intimate situations and things with them. And they're confiding in this person and relying on this person emotionally. When you start to rely on someone emotionally, that is when you get muddy waters.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right, Neil, that was something that I learned later. I learned it early in life, but I didn't really take in that learning, as you people say, taking learning, to a little later in life. I kind of understood that when you keep female friends around as a man, it could kind of get a little hairy. But here's the challenge for men, right? Men like to think, I got this under control.
I
can handle this.
I am guilty of that.
You are in a relationship, you and your partner, you good. And then there's somebody else. She's a friend. Yeah, she cool. Yeah. She's a friend. Yeah. And you tell yourself, I got this under control. Mm-hmm. Your partner realizes, I see and I hearing a little bit more of this person than I'd like. Right? Start to get a little uncomfortable. Some women will come flat out and tell you, you're dealing with a girl, or she let you, you as a man,
Mm-hmm.
this is what happens to us, right? You as a man, in the back of your brain, got a little attraction here, they got a little attraction here.
Yo,
But in the
you
immortal
know,
words of our prime minister, you in your head you thinking, I know when to press the brakes. I got this under control. I know I can press the brakes at any time. So you
I
tell
will.
yourself, I got this control. And then something happens, and well, I can't even say an unguarded moment. Let's call it an opportune moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because in those kind of situations, you recognize all you need is space and opportunity. And you get that time, you get that space, you get that opportunity. Next thing you know, entanglements kicking off. Because you get somebody a drop somewhere, somebody, I just need a little ride. You said, man, he's a good fella,
Oh,
give me a drop.
it's the start. I tell
And
you, as a matter of
whoops, bam,
duty.
whoops, bam, something kicking
Oh,
off.
oh shoot.
Yeah, and you're trying your best now to see how you can eject from this. But guess what? You like the little excitement. You know what I mean? It kicking up, it fresh, it new. New boys see the comment section going crazy, so you may go and
Eh,
jump in there and check
Yeah,
that. Right?
yeah. I got it covered. When you
It
ready?
fresh, it new, and you say to yourself, you know what? I like this. Right? And I will
Mm-hmm.
confess here, shoot, I've been in those situations before. Right? Where you tell yourself, I got it under control. And then it's like,
I got it
oh,
covered.
and then down the
Got
road,
it
it's like,
covered.
oh man, how did I get here? I know you're struggling trying to get out. You know what I mean? And if you're fortunate, because for men, we never really are able to kind of get out of it scot free, right? Somebody always ends up getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, it'd be a partner that's really feel it. You end up feeling like a dog because it's like cheese on bread. How I get here? I really love this woman. How this is just you lost something because you didn't have that unsexy that conversation where you say, something really ain't clicking. As you said, we used to do X, but we ain't doing X no more. What happened? You didn't do that. You didn't have that conversation. You just went. You saw the opportunity outside, and now you went. You had that, but you got your
Mm-hmm.
girl at home. Oh shoot, that going through the edits. So now
Yeah.
you got to try to fix things at home or at home bracket. Woman gone, so now you got to deal with this. Or if you want me to say, well, I ain't going to be, we got too much invested, so we got children, house, car, whatever. I ain't going to be, so get rid of the woman. So now you got to get rid of the side woman. So you got to
I
break up
mean,
she. So it's so
yeah.
much when you
Well,
get
I have,
talk entanglements.
I would say that I have never. Yes, I have cheated before. Years ago, I've cheated. I'm not proud of it, but I've cheated. And in those moments, it was like the act of cheating made me realize, all right, you're doing some foolishness. You need to have a come to Jesus moment with your partner, or you need to, you know, you need to cut out something. But it has never been, you know, cheating to the point where it's like, oh shoot, I gotta choose between my outside woman or nah. It's never been
Yeah,
that. I think the most I've been guilty of was having a casual relationship, saying I have it covered and comfortable, and kind of losing a handle on it and not being honest with myself. I think
that
every person has gone through that.
there's a school of thought, right, Neil? Just so we can kick up the comment section because I see it going crazy.
No,
So,
kick up my mind.
right? So let me kick up the comment section a little bit more. There's a school of thought, right, that when women cheat, they don't just stop like that. They stop
Mm,
if they get caught or if they get caught. So either the man finds out or we got pregnancy involved in the mix,
right.
right? And that
Mm,
apparently is when women actually say, you know what, I'm done with this. But generally speaking, the school of thought is if a woman can have her cake and eat it too, she would do that. And drop this little bit of controversy as well for the people in the comment section. Women are better at cheating than men.
Hallelujah.
Yeah?
Preach, Pastor. Preach.
Now, men will cheat more. Men will cheat more. But women are definitely better at it than men. Right?
Yeah, more efficient.
Because women got the mother on the payroll if necessary, the girlfriends on the payroll. And
I can tell you, Margaret Hoyt in. Trust me, if I got a woman and I bring another woman in here, Margaret Hoyt can be like, hey, hold on a minute, brother.
What's going on?
Hold on,
what's
Skipper.
going on? If he is a brothel, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the mother of a woman, she'd be like, good night, all right. Keep it pushing. Facts on facts.
I get a humor story after this, right? But anyhow, women, even the most Christian-minded lady out there, right, has at least one girlfriend that she knows if she ready to run some grease, this is the girl to call to keep my files for me. This is the girl to call if I go and make a little move. Every single woman, right? I see. Hold
on. First thing first. We got to do some catching up. First things first. I think men got that too. I think we got file keepers too. We got escape plans.
Of course. We may not have as many. Sorry, we have more. Right? Because a man will have 5 or 6 guys that he knows he can keep for me, right? But a woman got at least one girlfriend, right? And if she ain't got a girlfriend, probably a mother, right? So let me give you a quick story, right? But my guy, my guy Matt Brown gave me this story, right? So
I love Matt Brown's story.
We hear Matt Brown.
Yeah.
So there was this guy. He used to work at some particular place, and this man used to be drunk every day. Mm-hmm. So the people at the establishment asked him, "Why is that you be drinking and drunk so every day?" Man said, "Let me explain it to one of them. I had this girl, and people tell me I love she bad on, and people tell me she was horny me, and they tell me, man, look, he's home early, but she a day and see what's going on." So one day in particular, man left work early, gone there. When the man get to the whole place of aboard, the woman's mother was sitting outside, almost like the watchman.
Guardsman.
She's guard. So she's like, "You can't go in here." So he pushed past his mother and he gone inside, and saw this man had his woman in a very uncompromising position. But he said what hurt the man is that there was this line he used to throw he clothes over in the bedroom. The man how he clothes move away and he all passed through. The man left there, went down and was drinking every day since then. Let me check some comments, dude.
All right, let me go down. First things first, we got gut for a thought. We going for men. I was talking about men and women can be friends. Jamie says, I see a relationship like a Venn diagram. Chad laughs. Blair, because I see a slither of daylight through the door. We seeping through the cracks like gas. This comment by Blair made me cackle. Says he's just a friend, Mario voice. Women, this Ronnie Cummings. Yeah, Ronnie, we're getting on boy here. See you for a long time. Women create a myth. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining. Women create a myth that we can be just friends. Chad, most male friends are just men waiting for a chance. My man Jamal, Young Tricks. This is so interesting. Just before I sign in, I saw a clip speaking about compatibility, and I think it encompasses what Neil was dealing with. Sometimes we get in relationships with people that only works for one party, which then causes friction and issues within the said relationship. Sometimes that is what leads to people just falling out of love and the partner not understanding what has happened because they were the one that felt completed in the relationship. That's a young man here. That's a man. That's a sub 30. I'm very impressed with you, Tricks. Dion, I so glad when I admitted this because one has got women feeling like we mad.
Your behavior here.
Blair, all the women I am close friends with, I have had sex with or had an attraction that led to a dead end. Well, Blair boy,
Blair,
I
Blair
mean,
out to all.
I cannot say that that is not true. Chad Goring, and I know I can get licks for saying that, but my back broad. Ronnie, eventually it can happen, but not initially. We would have to get curved regularly. This is my matrix again. That friendship slow is very slippery. Blair, slip and slide down a hill. Jannar Brewster. How did it? Thanks for joining, brother. How did I get it? How did I get here? Me and Sean Eiffel has said this so many times. I believe that right there. Janara said, I have never ever cheated. Um, she is saying women realize, but a lot of us like fooling ourselves. Women know women. We know how we move and how we behave. So it ain't making sense pretending on either part. Men know they're looking for a chance. Women know when they're looking to take peace off of the top. Too. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Ronnie, no. Dion, you're right. Because they form an emotional connection as Ronnie, women get caught easier. My man Tricks, there I don't agree with the men will cheat more. Oh boy, Tricks. Boy, Tricks, boy. Ronnie, because they're emotionally invested. Mark, mums never got your back. Facts on facts, Mark. Mums never look. I would get Sally River quick. I'd never dare bring another woman in here for gold. Because this Natalia, because women slick in most instances. When a woman cheats, she most likely ain't doing it for a quick in and out and a walk up. And when she does she most likely covering her bases fast. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Derek boy, um, we're seeing it from the horse's mouth here. I think that it is interesting because at some point we're going to cover cheating. At some point, and it's funny because we have had this question in the docket already for a previous episode, but we had to preempt it for other things. One thing we want to talk about is infidelity, and can you move past infidelity in a relationship? And I can't wait to talk about that one because, yeah, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, I had a view on that, but now that I am in my 40s and I
It's a little
realize
different.
a little different, boy. So, um, right. So I think that in 2021, right, it is not that. I think we have to a place of coping. I think we have coping mechanisms in general. I find a lot of us need therapy. A lot of us need healing, but a lot of us don't seek it because we figure we got it or the taboo with therapy or whatever. And in the context of a relationship, we have things in a relationship that we don't want to address. And it may be easier for us to go and seek external, call it validation or call it coping mechanism or call it whatever you want. But instead of us putting work into our garden, into our yard, into our house, we want to go next door and cut that person grass,
The grass is
right?
always greener,
Instead
you
of
know.
us, man,
But I'll tell you, right? I'll tell you, I got a good friend, right, who said to me, his ex fiance's his ex almost father in law said to him, the grass is always greenest near the septic tank.
amen and amen. Woo,
So
woo,
consider
woo,
that.
woo.
Grass is always greenest near the septic tank.
You're informed tonight here, Pastor Marshall. You're informed.
But
You're
yeah,
informed.
I
You're
try.
rare ear tonight. Rare ear. But yeah, so I think that we, Victoria Heigenite, I think we need to be, and it's so hard, right? Because I personally have recently realized there are things that I need to be more accountable for and things that I need to seek within myself. And there are a lot of things that we either don't seek within ourselves. Pamela in the building, Greenest in the graveyard too. Oh, yeah. You need to, first things first, you need to take care of yourself. Somebody mentioned it earlier. You need to seek validation and you need to cover your home. So this is how I liken it, right? I liken that everybody is a home and you let people move into your house or move into your neighborhood, right? And I think that We fooling ourselves that we going over to the neighbor just as a problem. If you are going to have a sex or even an emotional relationship with someone under the guise of saying we can just be friends, we can be buddies, we can be companions, whatever, friends with benefits, whatever, you have to be careful of that dynamic because once you start to, because as much as people say, man, it's just, use men to with shove your chest in here and say, yeah, boy, is a stamina daddy and this and that next. At some point, you're gonna look that woman in she eyes and you're gonna make love to that woman. And you see, from the time you start to realize that you're making love to someone, the dog is dead. You need to come to Jesus moment and realize you're in love with this person. There's more in the mortar than the pestle, and you need to really look at it. If you are committed, if you are in a relationship, fix your relationship first. Deal with your relationship first. Do not seek any external validation. Do not seek anybody to fill a void because it is going to turn into something a lot more problematic down the line. If you love your wife, if you love your husband, if you have your home dynamic, if you have your family, and they mean the world to you,
Fix that.
look your wife in the face and say, "Here, tune, sweetheart. We ain't having sex no more. Was the problem? We don't make love anymore. We don't go on dates anymore. I realize every time we engage each other, you are angry at me, you're snapping at me. When I come to tell you about my problems, you don't want to hear it, you dismissing me, right? I think we need to create those spaces of honest and open conversations. You love the thing is about it, right? And I met me take off my glasses. I have realized, right, in a previous relationship, I had someone where there was that space of communication. As a matter of fact, I think with most of my recent relationships, dating and everything like that, I have fostered a relationship of open and honest dialogue and communication, right? Now, granted, I am not a very expressive person verbally, so sometimes I fall on that. But when you create that space of communication, of 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 being that, you call it the dome of truth, a space where there's no a space of vulnerability. You can say anything, there's no judgment, there's nothing like that, right? I think if both parties come to the table and they realize we're going to have this conversation, and regardless of whatever it is said with love, it's said out of love, and it's said with trying to get our relationship back to where it is, or where it was, sorry, right? If you have a partner that you've been married with for so long, you got children and you got a house and you've been maintaining a bit, because when you're dating and you use girlfriend or boyfriend, that's years before you get married, and then years when you get married. So no, you could be talking 5, 10 years with this person, and know you're afraid to really talk about certain things. Have that space, babe. Something off. I realized that certain things are not going how they're supposed to go, and certain things is happening or not happening how they were. How can we fix this? Are you committed to fixing this? If that person can tell you right there, then no, I'm not. To me, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if you come or go. Then it can hurt, but find a divorce lawyer. But if you and this person are still committed to fixing your love, fixing your relationship, and committing and being committed to certain things that you would have talked about, the unsexy conversations in the early out, get whatever it takes, whatever it takes in that commitment. Whether you get in therapy, couples therapy, you need to seek something in within yourself. She needs to fix something in yourself. You have to be able to fix it. I refuse to believe to this day that you in love with someone and the person in love with you and you're soulmates and you're this and that and the next, and the person look at you and tell you, yeah, I ain't committed to working on this anymore. I don't feel like talking to you. I don't feel like communicating. I'm bad. I can. That's a problem for me. That's a problem for me. I feel that it can be worked out. I feel that if both people love each other, committed to each other, have built that foundation with each other, and know within themselves that they are committed to one another and that relationship, it can be fixed and it can work. Anyhow, I started again on the pulpit. But
But
my experiences, man, it got me.
I
It
get you.
hard. Gideon. It hard.
Natalia is saying talk the things that people don't talk anymore, and
Nope.
Ricardo has the same communication is key. And but the challenge we have now is the let me make it a word the Instagramification
Wait,
of
wait, wait. I got a call for.
relationships.
I'm sorry to cross you. Keep your thought. But it is not only creating a space of talking, but you have to listen. Oh my God, active listening. I learned about active listening in 2015. At 36 years old, I learned about active listening. I still struggle with active listening. Active listening. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Yeah, well, let's pick up on that then, because we're talking about um, active listening. But right now, I think people listen to respond. They listen to respond, and then they kind of
I'm
pick out,
guilty.
buzzwords and catchphrases, and they use that to pick up for outrageous, what people will say, to
Mm-hmm.
start a fresh argument, or essentially to avoid accountability. Oui.
Oh
Nicola saying, I'm
Lord.
thinking if you don't want to work on the relationship, you can't be still in love. And that's one of the premises I wanted to launch off on where you were saying, Neil. You will have that conversation, but does the person you're talking to want to have that, want to save the relationship? Does that person want to be in the relationship? I mean, you can't just, you can't fight for something by yourself. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And yes, Blair, we're talking about the Instagramification of relationships, where it's a case where I need that instant gratification. I need that instant, um, that dopamine hit. I need
Mm-hmm.
them likes, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
hubby ain't taking me on, so let me just post a half naked pic here. 200 or 300 people jump on it in 2 hours, and we good to go. I feel better. But you haven't fixed what's right home inside your living room or inside your bedroom. You haven't fixed that. But you feel better and you roll on. You know what I mean? Because having the conversation, as you say, that cone and that dome where you could talk freely and have an active interaction and honest open discussion,
Yep.
right? You having that conversation, but it's a case where one person talking, the next person hearing, not listening, hearing.
Yeah.
Because I ain't bothered. I can't be bothered with that. I can just put out this half naked photo here, get some get some forward, and I feel better. And
Mm-hmm.
then if I could go outside and they get peace by the side, shoot. She don't listen to me at home, so I out.
Justification.
Deuces,
Justification.
and
Justification.
I
Yep.
out.
Yep.
Right? As
Yep.
you say,
Justification for your
justification,
actions.
right?
Yep.
I don't I can always say shoot. She don't cut when they come home, so I went and find somebody else to cut, and then I was getting 2 sets of meals. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah. Or on the flip side, woman can say, shoot, he's come home, you don't really take me on. He's gonna be shot and drink. So I find somebody to spend my time with. And then
Yep.
you use that as a justification. Because having that unsexy conversation, it's too hard. We don't want to do that. They say we real good at starting a relationship. That attraction phase, we real good at that part.
We good at
Get
no.
we good at getting to the sex part, but then in terms of keeping the relationship going and doing the things
The
that
hard work.
underpin a relationship and the hard work, that
Hard
graft that
work.
is
The ups and
necessary
downs.
to keep the relationship going, we ain't really so good at that part. We're really
Yeah.
so good at that part.
Like yeah. Like to me, I don't say I love you to people very lightly. I don't say I'm committed to people very lightly. I may say and do certain things, but when I tell you that I love you, it means that I love you. It means that I down for the whatever. Backs against to one another, and we getting out like two guns. We getting out
Yeah,
like
four flat
Trinity,
tires.
and yeah, we down. And I find it is easy to give up. It is easy to not fight. And don't get, I ain't gonna lie, it hard. Relationships are hard, but if you love that person, if you have this person share or have ever shared that bond, right? That love, that pure, raw, emotional connection and soul tie, right? You have to honor that and try to see it through and try to fix it. That's just my opinion. Obviously people see it differently, especially with the complications and thing. Now, let us continue. Okay. We got Blair. This is pure gold, sir. Therapy is needed. We humans need to learn to pour into ourselves and mental health is a huge part of that. Amen, Blair, amen. Obedience is better sacrifice. That is Victoria Caesar. God knows your heart. Ricardo Atkins. Sometimes people keep up appearances. Old folks say all that glitters ain't gold. The grass may be greener next door, but the people don't God don't artificial turf. Speak facts. God exposes fake love. Agreed with Victoria Caesar. Thought the things right. Communication is key. Bring peace to earth. Love is key. You're so right. Don't let me start exposing. We got my man tricks again. If you really need to talk outside the relationship, go to professional. I have seen instances where people talk to friends and it was used to kill their relationship. Yo, I can like that. I can like that. I can like that. I like that. Sorry.
Yeah, but second point then
Facts.
is before you move there, stay away from your single friends. Single
Oh,
people, single people move differently from people in relationships.
oh,
So if you got a single,
oh.
if you married ladies and you got your girlfriend that's single,
Or in situationships. Oh,
yeah, you
my
might need to,
God.
to kind of ease off of
Hallelujah.
that. And guys, that show I got a group of guys there that I talk to. Uh, Neil is one of them, and but we relate differently. You know what I mean? But for me, we got a guy in the group that's married. We got a guy who's been looking to marry. We got a divorced guy. Right? We got guys that are currently single but looking to get involved with somebody and be on that level. So
Yep.
we share experiences daily, right?
Yes.
Our dynamic is a little different because it's like, hey, everybody offers their advice, and the advice is taken, received, filtered, and then the person makes that decision on their own, right?
Mhm.
I find though that women, your single girlfriend, you don't know.
But hold on there. No, I got because there are some groups of men too that are very toxic.
Oh, for
So you
sure,
mentioned
for sure,
right. So
for
like
sure.
for example, I have had friends before tell me after a heartbreak or confusion with women, men tell me, "Man, look, gun foop saying strange and drink saying." You understand me? Those
And
people
that's
are
like
no
the
longer friends
most
with me. Yeah,
destructive.
yeah, yeah. So I think you have to be careful. What I would say, you have to be very careful where you get your information, right? If
Be able to
you,
filter it.
yeah. So like the same group chat that we're in, I love the guys. They support each other. Amazing support, especially for me recently. If you go into that chat, you may have one mom may say, "Let me tell you something. Marriage is nothing wrong with marriage." Another mom would say, "Don't get married." Another mom would say, "There's nothing wrong with seeking." I had one friend in that group chat that told me that I should I went through a heartbreak a few years ago, and the mom was telling me, "Look, for you to shut off yourself from relationships, it is asinine, quite frankly." And I was very shocked to hear that from him of all people, and to see what he's going through now. That is also very. It sticks with me to this day. Like he has given me advice that has me thinking about you know relationships and not giving up on that. Um, so it's like you go into if you feel compelled to speak to your group of friends, it's like going into the supermarket. They've got 10 different brands of macaroni. You ain't gonna buy all. You understand? You pick
Yeah.
and choose what
So it
you
can
want.
pay
When you
you.
picking up fruit, you check to see if it squishy, if it hard, if it firm, depending on what kind of textures you like. But it's the same thing with getting advice from friends. I don't know if it's always practical to seek professional advice or counsel from people. Some people may not be able to afford it. Some people may not feel comfortable doing that. But you have to be discerning with the people you decide to share your information with, and know within yourself too what you want, what you're trying to achieve, and what makes sense. Right?
Victoria is saying here, Corona is here to expose. This is so funny, right? Because we are essentially trapped at home with your
Yep.
partner, right?
Yep.
Um, apparently, Marley Rice Bowen was actually on in the news making comment about the rise in domestic abuse
Mm-hmm.
since all the lockdowns and stuff like that. Because people know there's no escape. you are in the house with the person that you
Yeah.
need, that you should be in the house with, or that you are
Yeah.
in the relationship
Yeah.
with.
Mm-hmm.
But because you haven't had that unsexy conversation, because there is, you don't know how to have that unsexy conversation, right? In times past, you get vexed, you take up your keys, you left.
Yep.
Or
Can't get
you
them
get
in out.
vexed, there's nowhere to go. By 7 o'clock, be off and people run. So unless you have uh, the essential workers pass to just say, look, I'm going from here, you got to sit down and either ignore each other, and unless you live in a palatial estate, you can still come into contact with that person. So which is
Yeah.
goes back to what somebody said earlier in the comments. Communication is key. I think it was Dwayne. Communication is key. You got to know how to
Yeah.
have that unsexy conversation and still not let it be a row at the end of the day. There needs to be a way for you to have that unsexy conversation. X or Y is going on. How can we fix it? And it not come to blows. But again, because we are in the Instagramification era of relationships, people don't want to have the conversations, and our communication muscles now have atrophied. We have
Yeah.
absolutely no idea how to carry on those conversations. So what happening now? The women quarreling, the men ain't quarreling, but they're sharing links. So you got to find again
I
now
don't
a
mean to
way.
laugh, but
Yeah,
all right.
just I understand the delivery. It's a very serious
Yeah.
topic, even though I put it over like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mm.
Um, we need to find a way to kind of again, and that's why the Senate, this podcast, creating that space for those conversations to bring the genders a little closer to a mutual understanding, so that we get it. You know what I mean? So we don't have those kind of things. Hook is asking what verse of the Bible is this. Um, Dion, we aren't good at it because we don't have any examples of it. A lot of what we know about relationships we get from society. And I'll interject here, I don't want to say romantic comedies, but that's another story for another time. We have said in
Boy,
other weeks that we only
boy.
see the curtains, but not the laundry on the floor. This is why we only get this smart about relationships when we are older because of life experiences. Amen and amen. Derek
Yeah.
preaching. Amen, Derek.
I tell you,
Yeah,
Pastor
partying
Marshall
for
informed
Pastor now.
tonight. Yeah, Pastor
Blessing
Marshall
proof.
informed.
Natalia, look, keep from singles when you're in a relationship. Don't bring single men or women around your man or woman. Recipe for disaster. And I will
I
say
like
amen to that.
I, I like that too.
Yeah. Nicole is saying stay away from people who are not open minded in general.
I would
This
love
combo
this.
temperature raising. Connect to the prophet. You should also beware the single sided story. Or loss. As Omar Brathwaite.
Oh dear.
Take it what is useful to you, leave the rest.
Yep.
Okay, Victoria, like she getting into feelings.
Dear.
All right, right.
Wait, Jimmy, Neil, it takes a strong person, spiritual maturity to have effective communication. I agree. I agree. I agree. And it is funny because me personally, there are times where I have effective communication, but it's not constant. I would be honest and say I sometimes struggle with the active listening. Um, and I've realized recently that it's tied up in my ego. It's tied up in pride, where you don't actively listen and you only listen to respond. I am guilty of that, and it's something that I'm trying to check. Instead of trying to see things from another perspective, your ego has you in a space of, just responding. As I said, I'm not consistent with it, and I'm working on that.
Yeah, because immediately when somebody comes to you, as Jamie said, it is a strong person and a mature person to have that effective communication. Because when somebody comes to you in a relationship and says X or Y is not working, it is very difficult to not feel attacked, to not, because shoot, it isn't a personal thing. It's only two of you in the relationship, so it has to be a personal attack. If you get what I'm saying, so it's,
Yeah,
so you saying you got shortcomings. You saying that saying around me, so I ain't good enough for you. That's what you're saying. So
yeah,
it's very difficult to hear and receive that kind of criticism and not think, okay, what is it about me that is not good enough for her? What is it about me that is not good enough for him? As opposed to
Mm-hmm.
saying, let me listen first, see what the issue is. Let me be objective.
Process.
Is this something that I can fix?
Yeah.
Right? Is this something that I can fix? One. Two, is it something that I want to fix? Because you may very well be saying, you know what, I'm ready to eject here. So I ain't care what she thought about deuces and you out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of listening and making sure that you kind of get what the person is saying and understanding, filtering it objectively without saying, but I want to hear that. She goes, say she's confused me all the time. You know what I mean? So I think Ricardo Atkins again has a social mediaification we going through. We read messages only to reply, so we just suppose that to all
Now,
verbal
I want to
communication.
comment. I want to comment on this, right? Take off my glasses again and wipe my brow. Now, if you are in a relationship with someone, right, and you and this person need to come to high words, or you need to create that space of vulnerability or whatever, do not send a text message. Say, babe, I think we need to talk.
Woo!
Meet face to face, eye to eye.
Stick a pin,
Go
stick a
ahead.
pin.
Go there.
All right. On the point of order, no man, no man wants to hear we need to talk. No man.
No
Uh,
man needs to hear it,
not that
but
he needs to
I
hear it, he doesn't
feel
want to hear it.
he doesn't want to hear it, but unfortunately, sometimes you need to hear it. And I find that because we live in this instant media, instant messaging era, it is really easy to fall in the trap of having very serious and heavy discussions over an informal, impractical way of communication. Do you know how many times, you know, you and this person that you love and care about, you get in this space of messaging back and forth, and the messaging takes a left turn, and y'all end up talking about something heavy. But before you know it, instead you say, "All right, babe, pump brakes. This is not the forum for this." We end up having the entire argument over social media, and you know what? You realize, oh shoot, certain things lost in
That's
translation.
it. Sure.
I have made a promise to myself that, and I mean, I've gone back on it, but more so now than ever in my life. Whenever I have to have a conversation with someone and I realize it getting too heavy, I can say, babe, time out. We can continue this conversation when I can see you in your eyes, and we can understand the nuances of this conversation. Because all you're doing is reading. You're
Mm-hmm.
reading. And when you're reading and you say, wait, what if so and so she mean here? What she really mean here? But then when you talk to that person in person, is like, no, you took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because especially if it comes from a way of feeling attacked, your antennas up, you're going in defense mode. So you're looking for, what she really talk? Who she mean? She mean me? She ain't mean me, boy. But if you have that conversation in person, it means so much. People do not have these conversations. But instant messaging and social media is for kicks. Hee
Yeah.
hee ha ha.
Yeah.
When it
I
get heavy
remember,
and serious and
not to cross
sexy
you, buddy,
in
but
person. Mm.
um, I don't know if you remember the Boondocks, and there was a character Samuel Jackson played. He and Charlie Murphy, they voiced the
Uh,
characters, and they were having a conversation, and Samuel Jackson's character was saying to Charlie Murphy's character that nothing important has ever been said via text.
oh my God. Nothing
Nothing important has
important
ever been said.
has ever been said.
Yes.
Things have been said, but they've always been lost in translation.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Pastor.
So
Oh my gosh.
and we talked about it earlier about communication and talking and stuff like that. I think we kind of got to get back to that a little bit more, as opposed to the, as you said, the direct messaging, the WhatsApping and stuff like that, because shoot, stuff can be lost in
In translation.
translation, and you could save yourself some headaches with that. Ronnie is saying messages can get copied to the girlfriend slash male friend outside person. Yeah, we live in the time with these screenshots.
Yeah.
Screenshot is undefeated, so just
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
careful what you're putting
Yeah.
out there, because people come in with
Yeah.
the receipts now to
Oh
arguments.
my
This
God.
is what you said. This is what you said. With that finger, this is what you said. So don't deny it. If you put it in text, and then
yeah.
you can't infer, you infer tone, infer the mood and everything based on your own feeling at that time.
Right.
And you pick up stuff that wasn't intended, and then all of a sudden you got a big long argument and you can't figure out why. You know what I mean? Jamie saying guilty, but I generally text it to have an in-person conversation. Exactly. You initiate it. I think Young Tricks said earlier, you never just text, we need to talk, and leave it, because that is just a recipe for noise. That is a recipe. You can bet that noise can start from there, because the person automatically defensive.
No, there's a second part of this question. We've really spent a lot of time. We pretty much at an hour and the actual podcast, hour and 20 minutes. But what about divorce, Derek? What about half? Is it as cut and dry as, you and this person together, you all have been through the fire, and we see what happened to Dr. Dre. My mom in the hospital and thing behind this woman, and the woman calling. How much it was? $2.4 million or some craziness.
$2 million a month. $2 million a month.
$2 million a month. I was in a problem, Judge, and I delivering that $2 million in 2 payments of odd cents every 2 weeks. Yeah, madman. I hire the dump trucks and I dumping it on the front lawn. No problem, Judge. $2 million. Got it.
No. Here's the thing with $2 million, right? I have no problem cleaning sorted.
Right.
But when they saw the breakdown of this $2 million, right? She had $135,000 in clothing. Yet still had like $10,000 in laundry clothes. If you're spending $135,000 a month in clothing, it's suggesting to me that you should be able to want itself. But I'm saying to myself, maybe it's only you buying clothes every month, and it's all that you might be like, I don't know, wearing them once. I don't know. I don't get it. But she had $900,000 in entertainment allowance.
That blew
Are you hosting shows? Are you hosting shows?
Blew my mind. She hosting shows in Ibiza?
I'm saying $20,000 in landline, phone, email, and stuff like that. And I'm saying to myself, I have never paid to send an email. And if it's
what internet you got? What internet you got?
That connected to Mars that you charge.
I sent an instant message. I sent a message no, and then no line in Mars. Like I hit send and they're ready. That's the kind of internet we're talking about.
What?
Insanity.
So, it really led me to wondering, do people deserve half? And because, again, I say I do my little research for this show, I went through a peruse Dr. Dre stuff, because I think I see Dwayne saying, if it ends amicably, I will give you the house, keep it. If it doesn't, she can have half, but I burn in my half. Yeah, Dion say the biggest broadband ever. So when I went through and I checked, I can't find this lady's name or any of Dr. Dre's tracks. Any. She on a DMX. She on an Eminem. You know what I mean? None. Right? And I get that you have been there for, you think, 20 years, 20 plus years, and you'd be entitled to something. I get it. But let me come back to Chris Rock, because you all guys know I love my Chris Rock, right? Chris Rock, I'll tell you straight up. You go to court and you say you're accustomed to living this way. You're accustomed to this and you're accustomed to that, right? But you go to a restaurant you're accustomed to eating. When you leave, you're not eating anymore. But it's not like the restaurant owes you a steak. You know what I mean?
They don't owe
right? No. A little more Chris Rock, right? I love Chris Rock, I tell you. Chris Rock says, over the course of a relationship, a man gets accustomed to some things, right? And one of those things just happens to be sex. So suppose Dr. Dre decided, you know what? I get this $2 million, but at least once a week, come true. People will say that Dr. Dre is like, you know, oh the order, oh the bones, everything. You know what I mean? So in terms of the because I like to look at the celebrities and see how these situations pan out, because it tends to inform us on a not so celebrity level. And I look at Steven Jackson, for example. He was getting married. He wanted his fiance to sign a prenuptial agreement. She wasn't having it. She wasn't about it. He kept, asking her to sign, because his thinking about it was, look, if we get into this thing, it's me and you, yeah, but it can't be a case where you just decide, oh yo, you gone with half of my money. You know what I mean? So he tried to protect his investment or whatever, because he got his own family and stuff like that. Apart from her, that kind of depended on him. I mean, shoot, when you are on that level as an NBA player or whatever, you making millions of dollars, you know that some people depending on you, right?
Yep.
And this thing went downhill to the day of the wedding. The day of the wedding, she hadn't signed, and everybody dressed and everything. They are at the venue for the wedding. She didn't sing. So my mom was like, shoot, yeah, not me.
Could as well party.
Yeah, not me. So we gonna party, you know. He went down to the wedding reception area. Stephon Marbury was up with the DJ, and they were playing "She Get Me Money When I'm in Need." That was the true on the. That's the true they were playing, right? She agreed to sign it, but she did so tearfully. And my mom said, "Nah, don't worry, because it can't be said then that I put you under duress to sign this thing." You know what I mean? When Kobe was going through his issues back in the day, God rest my guy Kobe, um, people were saying, sure, she want a divorce, but we don't see you in the gym shooting, you know what I mean? And even to bring it closer to home, and this is the guy that I'm gonna use in terms, and I could see, I think she took into the cleaners though. And I still don't think that's right, but my guy Tiger, Chanda Paul.
Oh no.
But in this instance, China Paul, his wife was actually in the gym with him. China Paul, the legend has it, used to make his wife bowl at him.
Well, then she deserve half.
So
She deserves
I get it.
she deserve half. She
Yeah, you
deserve
know what I
half.
mean?
Yeah.
Um,
The same thing with Jeff Bezos, right? The guy that owns Amazon. His wife apparently was with him and helped him, build up his company, like, give him loans or whatever, took her money
yeah.
and invested in give him money to help start certain things or
Yeah,
whatever.
we
So I
could dig
mean,
that. We could dig
yeah, you
that.
could dig that. You could
But
dig that.
what's happening now is that you find that men are less inclined to get into marriage and stuff like that, because it just figures it's a bad deal. It just seems to come over as, I am betting you half of my stuff that we are going to stay together. So men are seem to be less inclined to get married, and that's where it's at now. Women want to be married, men not so much. So should it get half?
I think it depends, man. If the person been there from jump before your success, and the person actually, and I ain't talking about the fake blood, sweat, and tears. I'm talking about a real downfer, right? Like a real
Four
person
flat
that,
tires.
yeah, that was down, and it just was one of those things where, because we've seen it too, where some relationships they've had breakups, filed for divorce, they took it back. Like in the case with Kobe, Like we've seen people try to make it work and try to fix it.
Yeah, too
But I
much money
find,
involved to
man,
break up, man.
yeah. Like you see Jay-Z and Beyonce, like when you got that sort of money and that level of power, right? It ain't as simple as, yeah, we
I
divorcing
done
and
with
we
you.
done with that. Yeah, nah, because I can't remember what song it is, but it's cheaper to keep her. As
Yeah,
what was the lyric? It's cheaper to keep
pretty
her.
good.
And I don't know. For me personally, I have no problem in giving part of my assets to a woman that has really been there for me emotionally, financially, encouraging. I have no problem in doing that. But I already made up in my mind, right? When I become rich and when I become famous, I ain't no new friends. Mm-mm. Nah.
I know.
Whoever,
I already know all my cousins.
are they? No new friends. What you can do is I can go back down in the old book and say, babe, remember we did here back in 2000 and how much ever? Are you rich and famous now? You want to try to make it work again? I definitely ain't going for nobody new. That's just me.
Okay, we got some comments
Um,
here. Um, this is a thing among celebrities, happened with Paul McCartney as well. Yeah,
oh yeah.
or Dr. Dre in your hospital, boy. Um, as long as you were in the gym with me or helped me in any way to get this money, then you deserve half. But if you're an incumbent, fail. I know shit happens, but a prenuptial sounds like you're going into this relationship expecting to fail. Marriages fail as a result of a breakdown in communication. Carrie Ann is saying, I agree with the prenups. I love Chris Rock. If you're making 30 million, your wife want 15, then the problem you ain't starving. But if you're making 30,000, and your wife want, you know, you might gotta work that out, you know. So I get it, I get it. The 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 half thing.
Yeah,
Here's the
half.
thing
I
on
don't know.
that level, right? It's different at our level when everybody building and coming up together.
Hmm.
At that level, we talking Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, that kind of money. Because here on this level, you working, the woman help you along, she or shoot, it might be the other way too. Let's look at that because it might be a case of the man helping the woman to get forward. And then it's the
Hmm.
case the woman now has to pay him out.
Yeah.
So we happy with that, right? We don't got a
Yeah.
problem with that. They call it manimony now, right?
Manamoni.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I can think of like Mary J. Blige, her
Adele
husband.
had to pay out.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige had
Yeah.
to pay out.
Brittany
Somebody
and
else.
Federline,
Yeah, Federline. He
Randy Williams.
yeah, all those guys. They got some handsome paydays because they were involved in um, powerful and more influential women than they were. So they had to get paid out and compensated essentially. Um, so you come up and you're building and you build an empire, and yeah, you're doing the trenches or whatever, you're taking care of kids or whatever. I said last week I spoke to a married lady who said she couldn't really bring anything in terms of money to a relationship, but her biggest asset and her contribution was time. She had the time to pick up children, do the running around, do the grocery shopping, do the cooking, that kind of stuff. Cool on this level. But when you go up to the Dr. Dre level and the um, Jay Z level, the Kobe level, even the Steven Johnson level, you
Mm.
really think that these girls shopping and picking up groceries and come on, now, a sweeping and pushing a mop and a broom? Nah,
Nope.
nah,
Nope. Nope.
I don't it very much.
Yeah.
So to say that a prenup is kind of like expecting it to fail, uh, I think it's kind of
Depends,
like
man.
covering your base,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
see
Yep.
cover your ass and make sure that you got everything covered so that you don't get like taken out because you still got to continue life after the fact, right?
Yep.
It's still got to be a case where because you still got other people depending on you, right?
Hmm.
Look at me for instance, shoot, I come along, I get married or whatever, and I I ain't got a big lot of money, and then my partner decides for whatever reason shoot, deuces, but they want half of everything. So now I out to sea because I still got a daughter that I got to take care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And my
yeah.
resources are immediately cut in half because you didn't love no more. You know what I mean? So I guess you got to plan B it a little bit. Yeah, it's all right to say you you are looking at it as if you're going to fail on from the outset, but call it an insurance policy. You get an insurance policy, but you don't say yourself again, I get insurance, I get hit my car. Nah, you still got insurance. Exactly, Blair. You got your insured cars. Why not a marriage? So it's a case of saying, but yeah, I ain't they say I don't know what can happen, but just in case, let me just make sure I got everything covered. And I think that that's all it really is. Should you get half? I think you should. If you've contributed, I think it should be a case where you should be compensated for your contribution. But if you come like a parasite and just leeching, nah, I miss me with that.
Nah, go from right place. Just to read us some comments before we wrap up. Natalia was, if the person helped you from the beginning, you built together, emphasis on together, and I can understand splitting assets. Otherwise, nah, prenups protect each person in my eyesight. Victoria, she's out. I had enough. Victoria Brown it over. Thank you very much for joining. Dion, I think we assume prenups favor one person over the other. They don't have to be written that way. It can be
Facts.
written that what we come with, we leave with, and everything we do together, we split. It's not
Facts.
just about protecting the richer person. Natalia agreeing. Blair, you read his comments already. Also remember this, Carrie, and also remember these so-called famous people want these levels of money as payback for the embarrassment they believe they endured while married, i.e., the outside children and or the groupies and side chicks. Different reasons for folks. Yeah, I mean the revenge divorce, boy. I I don't know, boy. I think what is happening to Dr. Dre, I actually feel that there's more than Martin Pesselman. I feel it's something, maybe Dr. Dre was unfaithful, maybe he did
Probably.
have some outside children or not, but was she asking $2 million? Can't get done with it. As I said, no, don't let me say that. I would get done with it. If I ever, I
With the
let me
dump
all
truck.
women know, any woman watching, if I become rich and famous and we married and you want half, and you tell a judge you want $2 million when the month come in spousal support, no problem. But clear a spot for me for the 25 dump trucks to dump $2 million in odd cents, in 1 cent on your lawn. Anyhow, there I think we've outstayed our welcome. I want to
Yeah,
thank
man.
everybody for joining us. It was a great discussion. Again, this one was not inflammatory. I think next week, we got a few ones in the chamber. I think next week gonna be a rough one. So I can come. I may come for battle next week. But anyhow, thank you very much for everybody for joining us. This has been the Senate podcast, and what we do here is we close always with Derek saying,
Be the best version of you.
be the best version of you. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Until next week.